What were the challenges, and how did you create a systematic and coordinated wraparound service system?
Well, we've been working on this about 8 years, and originally the college made a tangible commitment to addressing student success and retention. And the college-wide retention committee had determined we need to do something. You know, we're not doing a good enough job with this. And at that point, we decided we really needed to go to a holistic counseling model. And because of that, we needed tools to support the holistic counseling model. The idea of doing that effectively in a paper-based system just didn't make sense. So we started building out this software to allow the counselors to have the right tools, to make them more efficient, and also to allow them to collaborate and work together so that a student didn't experience those silos. So we went ahead and committed about a year's worth of resources, and then we were fortunate enough to be funded by a Department of Education Title III grant, which provided another 5 years worth of development work. And then from there, we've just continued to develop it. We have it so heavily entrenched in our college, and then we started providing it to other institutions. And from there, we decided that what are we going to do with this? A community college is not a great software sales or support organization. So through generous funding from EDUCAUSE, with the backing of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Hewlett Foundation, the NGLC grant is going to allow us to take that software and provide it as an open source solution to the community. And we're hoping to create a vibrant community that will join us and become partners with us to develop the software and take it to new heights so that we can offer even more services to more students. We understand that we don't have a lock on great ideas or innovation, so we're looking forward to those partners that can provide how they do things and help us modify and tweak our processes so that we can continue to all grow together, analyze data together, benchmark one another across a common set of tools, and be able to increase outcomes and hopefully help more students succeed and complete and go on and have happier, healthier, more productive lives. I mean, that's kind of why we're all here.
Now, you mentioned that this is an open source project. How can you see it being replicated at other schools?
On the replication front, at least 6 other schools have implemented the tool at this point, and it is certainly set up to allow for a lot of different processes. Sinclair follows one process for its at-risk students, another for its distance learning students, and yet another for its counseling students. So the tool was built in mind with being able to support many business processes, but still having a central hub for that holistic view of the student. We want to break down those silos. So if you're working with distance learning and counseling services, and then you're also working with coaches for the honors program, we want all 3 groups to be able to see that and coordinate effort instead of it being individual discrete events. And we're trying to limit the amount of rework that is done so that we can better leverage our resources. So the counselors hopefully can build and propel a student forward at each visit instead of doing rework because of lost paperwork and not understanding what the student's goals are or where they are in relation to those goals. So we hope that we can lay out a plan of action for that student and then track the student's progress, and at each point anybody that contacts or touches that student can see where they are and how to move them forward to the next step. And then as the next person or coach or case manager talks with the student, they can build on the last person's progress. And so as a team, collaboratively, we hope we can move the students to where they need to go to completion.
Is there a professional development component to having counselors work with the system?
Training is typically about an 8-hour event, kind of a morning, lunch, afternoon session. That's typically all we need from how to use the software system. The larger challenge is more of a culture change on how you would use a case management model versus a traditional model. That is dependent upon the individuals, the institution, the new process. Typically those are more challenging issues than implementing technology. So the technology is not a silver bullet. It is not the magic. The people are the magic. The technology is an enabler to that magic. What we've tried to do is create a series of tools that allows those counselors and coaches to be more effective, to spend more quality time with the student in a session doing the kinds of things that are important to a student's success, helping them overcome their challenges, instead of time looking up resources, finding solutions, doing paperwork, hunting for things in a filing cabinet, or doing rework that was done 3 weeks ago. You know, instead of doing the same counseling sessions over and over and over, we've got to stretch our counseling resources further than we ever have, unfortunately due to budget constraints. And then also taking that same model and being able to scale it up to that larger population so that more students can benefit. Instead of just the few that we're able to actually see our coaches and counselors in person.
And what are the measures of success around this?
So yeah, absolutely. Why do you care? What's the point of the whole system? We've actually had chance, because we've been doing this for a number of years, to study this and research what are the outcomes, how does this impact success and retention. And we can say with pretty good certainty that students that participate in the student success plan using the software tools succeed better than their peers that should have received services, and in many cases they succeed better than students that were not considered at risk. So they usually are retained at much higher levels, they have higher GPAs, and they're more likely to be with us in 2 years, and more likely to complete their courses.